The town rests beside a forest so old it feels aware of those who watch it. A woman arrives just before dusk carrying boxes and quiet, hope believing the move will fix her life. The road into town is narrow and empty, and the trees lean close as if listening. The locals stare without greeting and close their doors, early leaving the streets hollow and tense. That night the woman sits alone in her rented house surrounded by unpacked boxes and the ticking of a wall clock. The forest presses against the back of the property, its shadows crawling across the windows as the light fades. She hears the sound just after midnight, a long cry rising from the woods, raw and desperate, like someone begging for help. It is not an animal, and it is not wind. She steps onto the porch, heart racing, expecting lights or movement from nearby homes. But every house is dark. Curtains are drawn, doors are locked. No one reacts. The screaming continues, closer now, almost gentle, as if testing the air. Woman feels watched and suddenly foolish for listening. She calls out, asking if someone is hurt. The sound stops immediately. The silence that follows feels heavy and wrong. Then she hears footsteps, slow, careful, circling the edge of the trees. Leaves crunch, branches bend, but nothing steps into the light inside her house. The walls creak as if settling, yet the air feels colder. Her phone loses signal. Her lights flicker once, then steady. The forest goes quiet again, and the town remains asleep, pretending nothing happened. The woman does not sleep. She sits until morning, watching the woods, knowing something heard her, and knowing the town already knows what waits there outside. Waiting. Morning arrives quietly with pale light and mist clinging to the trees. The woman steps outside, expecting signs of last night, but the town looks ordinary, calm, almost welcoming. Birds sing, and the forest stands still as if nothing ever cried from within it. She tells herself fear created the sound, and that new places always feel strange. As she walks through town, she notices how people move with purpose, never lingering, never looking toward the woods. Conversations stop when she approaches. Smiles appear too quickly and disappear just as fast. At a small store, she asks casually about the forest, and the air changes. The cashier stiffens and pretends not to hear. An older woman drops her items and leaves without paying. Rules reveal themselves without being spoken. She notices bells hanging on doors, all facing inward, windows covered before sunset, paths that curve away from the tree line. Even children playing stop and lower their voices when a breeze comes from the woods. At work, she overhears whispers, warnings disguised as jokes. Someone laughs and says, "Never whistle at night." Another replies, "Never answer when someone calls your name." They laugh too hard, as if laughter will keep something away. The woman joins in, pretending to understand. That evening, a neighbor finally speaks, leaving a basket of food on her porch without stepping close. The neighbor tells her kindly but firmly to stay inside after dark and to never walk toward the trees, no matter what she hears. The woman asks why, and the neighbor shakes her head, saying only that the woods remember. As night falls, the town shuts itself away. Doors lock, lights dim. The woman sits by her window, watching the forest edge. She hears nothing, yet the silence feels intentional, like something is waiting for permission. She realizes then that the fear here is not sudden. It is practiced, learned, passed down, and she understands that last night was not an accident. It was an introduction. The first incident is dismissed as a misunderstanding. A mother finds her young son asleep on the kitchen floor just before dawn, his feet caked in wet soil and pine needles tangled in his hair. He cannot explain how he got there and insists he never left his bed. The forest is mentioned only once, and the room goes quiet. Within days it happens again. A girl is found standing in the yard, staring toward the trees, humming a tune no one recognizes. Her hands are scratched, her nightgown torn, and she smiles when asked what she was doing. She says she was helping someone find their way home. Parents begin locking doors and windows tighter, yet it changes nothing. Children wake up exhausted, mud-stained and distant. They speak less, and when they do, their words sound rehearsed. They all describe the same dream, a woman waiting just beyond the trees, her voice kind, her face blurred, her promise simple: "Come closer." The woman watches this unfold from the edges of conversations. Teachers whisper, doctors avoid explanations, church bells ring earlier each evening. Children are no longer allowed. Outside alone, the woods feel closer now, pressing against the town like a held breath. One afternoon, the woman notices small shapes hanging from tree branches near the road. Twisted figures made of sticks, hair, and scraps of fabric tied carefully. Together, each one sways slightly, though there is no wind. A child nearby begins to cry without knowing why. That night the woman hears footsteps again, but this time they are lighter, almost playful. Small hands brush against the side of her house. A child laughs softly from somewhere near the trees. She recognizes the voice. It belongs to the boy from the kitchen floor. She grips the door handle, fighting the urge to open it. The laughter fades, replaced by whispering, many voices overlapping. All saying the same thing. She wants you to see. She wants you to come. And deep in the woods, something moves closer, smiling in the dark. Woman can no longer ignore what is happening, and she seeks answers in daylight, where fear feels weaker. She visits the oldest part of town, where houses lean and time feels slow. There she finds an elderly man sitting on a bench, facing away from the woods, as if turning his back as an act of survival. Does not look surprised when she speaks. He tells her he has been waiting for someone like her, someone who still asks questions. He says the town was built to hide, not to grow, and that every family here knows the truth, even if they pretend not to. He tells her the witch was once a woman who lived among them. Long ago she was accused of bringing sickness and loss, though none could prove it. Fear needed a face, so they gave it hers. She was dragged into the woods and left there without food or shelter. They believed the forest would finish the job, but the woods did not kill her. They kept her. The man says she learned the language of trees and roots and bones. She learned how to wait. She learned how to listen. And most of all, she learned how to call. He explains that she does not chase or attack. She offers comfort. She offers understanding. She calls to those who feel unseen, especially children and newcomers. And when they answer, they give her something she needs: obedience. The man warns her that the witch remembers every voice, every name, every act of disbelief. Speaking of her draws attention. Entering the woods is an invitation, and pity is the most dangerous thing of Allah's. The woman leaves. She feels eyes on her from between the trees. She realizes the old man never once said the witch was gone. That night her name is whispered again, softly, patiently, and this time it comes from inside her house. The whisper begins as a breath against her ear, soft, almost tender, calling her name perfectly, as if someone had memorized it long before she arrived. She freezes, heart pounding, and waits, but no one is there. The air feels thick like water, and the shadows stretch longer along the walls. Her windows rattle, though the wind is still. Her phone lies dead on the table, and the lights flicker once, then steady, leaving the room darker than it should be. She hears it again, her name repeated slower this time, almost a question, almost an invitation. She swallows dry and steps toward the door. Outside the night is quiet, but she senses movement. Shapes shift just at the edge of her vision between the trees. A soft glow drifts among the branches like lanterns held by unseen hands. They sway closer and retreat as if testing her courage. She hears footsteps circling the house, careful, soft, deliberate. The forest seems alive, listening, waiting, responding. She feels a pull toward the edge of the property, a gentle tug in her chest. A voice that promises nothing bad, only curiosity and wonder. She fights the urge to go, ignoring it, but every time she looks away, the lights move closer, and the whisper repeats her name again and again, like a rhythm she cannot forget. The air tastes of cold earth and wet leaves. The townspeople remain inside and quiet as always, their faces pressed against curtains. The woman wonders if they can hear it too, if they are pretending not to, or if they are already under its sway. Finally, she closes the door, windows locked, and sits trembling but awake. Her mind repeats what the old man said: the witch does not hunt, she waits, and those who listen too long or answer are changed. Then the woman knows she has already listened too long. Outside, in the woods, the soft glow pulses, and the whisper waits patient, unblinking, calling her name into the darkness and into her dreams. In the days that follow, the town begins to change in ways the woman cannot ignore. Children and adults alike grow quieter, their eyes hollow and distant. They walk with measured steps as if listening for something she cannot hear. Their laughter disappears, and their smiles feel practiced and fragile. She sees the pattern clearly now. Everyone affected had gone near the forest or whispered about the witch. Even those who tried to resist seemed drawn toward the trees, as if invisible strings pull them forward. They speak less, and when they do it is in tones too soft, too deliberate, like reciting a script they do not fully understand. At the edge of the forest she notices footprints that appear overnight, soft, rounded, small, as if left by children who should be asleep. They start at one end of the woods and vanish into darkness. Her stomach twists knowing they never come back. One evening the woman watches from her porch as a boy from the neighborhood slowly walks toward the forest. Alone, his head down, hands at his sides. He looks around but not at anyone. She wants to call him back, but the voice in the woods calls louder than hers, and the boy disappears among the shadows. The woman hears whispers rising from between the trees. Soft, melodic, overlapping, many voices saying the same thing over and over. Come closer. She begins to recognize the cadence from her dreams, and the children repeat it at school as if the spell is in their mouths. Their parents stare silently, pretending nothing happens, while inside they tremble. She realizes the witch does not steal bodies. She steals willpower. She steals certainty. She reshapes them into shadows of obedience. Fear gnaws at her chest, but curiosity claws harder, and she knows the only way to understand is to go deeper into the darkness she has avoided. That night she packs a small bag and waits for the moon to rise steady and pale, knowing that when she steps into the forest, she may never return. The town watches silently from their windows. The woman cannot sleep. She knows the forest waits, patient and aware. She spends the day preparing a small bag, flashlight, food, and water, her heart beating in time with the fear that coils in her stomach. She reviews everything the old man told her and the signs she has seen since arriving in town, realizing disbelief alone had drawn attention. At dusk she leaves her house quietly, avoiding neighbors whose doors close silently behind her. She walks to the edge of the woods, every step heavier as the trees loom above, twisting branches into shapes that seem almost human. She feels the air change, the cold pressing against her skin, and the shadows lengthening as if reaching for her. Inside the forest the world shifts. The familiar sounds of birds and wind vanish, replaced by whispers, low and layered, all speaking her name. She sees faint lights moving between the trees, soft glows that bob as if floating. She feels the pull stronger now, a tug in her chest urging her forward. She discovers objects placed carefully along the trail, small toys, hair ribbons, scraps of fabric, all belonging to people who had disappeared. The arrangement feels deliberate, like a map leading somewhere. She recognizes the pattern from her dreams and from what the children described. Her flashlight flickers as she follows the trail, and suddenly she sees markings carved into trees. Strange symbols, unfamiliar yet comforting in their precision. The air smells of damp earth, decay, and something sweet she cannot name. Deeper she goes until she reaches the ruined cabin, the place the old man hinted at, long abandoned, with walls fallen and roof caved. The glow intensifies around it, the whispers rising into voices chanting in unison. Her pulse races. She knows she has found the heart of the witch and the truth she has been chasing. Every instinct screams to turn back, but she cannot stop. The pull is too strong, and the forest has already decided she belongs here. The woman steps forward into the cabin, and the shadows fold around her, waiting silently. Cabin is dark and cold, the walls rotting, and the floor slick with years of neglect. The woman steps carefully over broken boards and fallen beams. Her flashlight barely penetrates the gloom, and the air smells of damp earth and something metallic. Her breath forms clouds that linger like ghosts around her face. Sees signs of life that should not exist. A small fire pit in the corner, surrounded by charred sticks. and animal bones, dolls, and carvings made from twigs and scraps of cloth hang from the ceiling and walls. Each one seems to watch her, and she shivers. Realizing they resemble the children and people who disappeared from the town, a soft sound comes. From the shadows, a footstep, deliberate, slow, patient. She turns and sees her first glimpse of the witch. Her face is pale and lined, but her eyes are bright and knowing. Her smile is calm, almost kind, and she does not speak, only waits as if expecting. The woman steps. Closer, voice trembling, asking questions about the children, about the disappearances, about why she is here. The witch tilts her head, listening. Her fingers brush the carvings lightly, as if acknowledging them. She moves toward the fire pit and kneels, her hands hovering above the flames without igniting them. Woman feels the pull stronger than ever, a tug in her chest, in her mind, in her bones. The witch does not need to speak. She communicates in feeling and understanding, in promises of safety for those who obey. She extends a hand, not threatening, but insistent. Woman realizes she is at a crossroads, either to run back to the town and warn them, or to surrender to the patience and power waiting within these walls. She sees the faces of the missing in the carvings, and feels their calm acceptance, and in that moment, she knows the witch has already chosen her. Fire flickers, shadows fold, the cabin breathes, and the forest waits outside, silently ready to claim what belongs to it. Morning comes quietly over the town, the sun pale and weak, as if unwilling to rise fully. The streets are empty, doors locked, windows closed, and the air carries a strange stillness. No children play, no animals wander, even the wind seems to hesitate at the edge of the forest. The woman is gone. Her house stands untouched, as if she never existed, and the townspeople go about their routines quietly, careful not to speak of what happened. The air hums with a tension that cannot be explained, the memory of her presence lingering like a shadow over every home. A new figure appears at the edge of town, a young woman, unfamiliar, carrying bags and hope in her eyes. She smiles politely at neighbors who stare silently and politely. At her back, she walks the narrow streets, careful to avoid the forest, yet glances cannot help themselves drawn to the dark line of trees, looming endlessly. The forest seems to watch the new arrival, shifting slightly, as if preparing a welcome. Its shadows stretch longer, the wind whispers softly, carrying names not yet spoken. The carvings in the ruined cabin glow faintly in the memory of those who have seen them, and the whispers continue in the trees, patient, unblinking, waiting for another voice to answer. Somewhere deep inside the woods, the witch stands, watching the town breathe, as if it is hers. Her smile is calm, her presence complete. She does not hurry, she does not chase, she waits, and every rule is remembered, every name is stored, and every mistake of disbelief is noted. The town falls silent again, a practiced quiet that everyone understands without speaking. Newcomers will come, old residents will obey, and the forest will endure its patient hunger. The cycle continues unseen and unbroken, and somewhere in the quiet, a soft voice whispers from the trees, calling a name into the wind, inviting, listening, waiting. Witch is patient, and she always waits.